All right, good morning, everyone. Here we are talking about some Fed history today. It's Sunday. So, yeah, we'll take a look back. This was a little easier to research than going through the schedule. All right, today we're going to talk about the New York slash Brooklyn Aviators, one of the original six teams of the FPHL, but their history goes pre FPHL, so we want to cover it. Only 4 years, so not a complicated history, but interesting nonetheless. All right, the Fed had the original six, yeah, kind of like the NHL, only the NHL's original six weren't the original six. But I digress. Okay, so yes, the Brooklyn and New York or New York Aviators, excuse me, they started off playing in a great little place called the Hangar. It was a converted airplane hangar that was on the property of Floyd Bennett Field. If you don't know what Floyd Bennett Field was, that was the original airport servicing New York City. Before LaGuardia, before Kennedy, there was Floyd Bennett Field. So, um, abandoned property taken over by the National Park Service, worked on, renovated, converted into a great sports facility. Two NHL ice rinks, indoor turf field, an area for things like rock climbing. It was an entertainment destination, um, and opened in 2008, which really wasn't that long ago. Um, but anyway, an arena that sat 2,500 people. So it was a good size arena for a low level minor league professional league to start a hockey team. And that's exactly what happened. The Eastern Professional Hockey League was formed out of three other leagues trying to make a go of it and collapsing, semi pro or professional. So the EPHL was really a precursor to the FPHL, in that it shared a very similar structure, very similar economic system, and a common vision to take players that are fresh out of college or juniors and give them the opportunity to start climbing the professional ranks. And we have the Federal Prospects Hockey League, the EPHL had the same idea and the same mission statement. So they create a league. It's supposed to be five teams, and things didn't pan out with a couple. Before the season even started, a couple teams said we're not going to make it. So the league hastily created the Hudson Valley Bears, who played in McCann Arena in Poughkeepsie and Ice Time Arena in Newburgh. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. Yep. So, what was kind of funny is you had three teams. You had the Hudson Valley Bears. You had the Danbury Mad Hatters, who were formed after the collapse of the UHL. The Danbury Trashers legacy was at risk of being lost, but here come the Mad Hatters. We had the Jersey Rockhoppers, who played in West Orange, New Jersey. Now, Danbury's arena sat about 2,400 people. Jersey and Brooklyn, 2,500 people. And then combined between the two arenas in the Hudson Valley, you had about 1,050 seats. So, eh. But anyway, so the league started play, and Brooklyn, they were called the Aces at this time. They were the class of the league, finishing first, 35, 9, and 6. First in the league. They also led the league in attendance, almost 1,100 people on average. So that was really good. This was a big encouragement. The league thinking we're doing all right. Every first year league is going to have its struggles, but apparently the on ice and through the turnstiles performance of Brooklyn wasn't enough to save the league. At the end of the year, playoff series, the Jersey Rockhoppers, who had finished second, ended up defeating the Aces 2-1 and winning the championship. So that was, April. And the league, had some good features. They had a lot of former Fed people involved. They had the Aces were coached by Chris Furiolo, who coached the Danbury Whalers and the New Jersey Outlaws in the Fed. We had some notable players like Phil Esposito. No, not the Phil Esposito, but the Fed Phil Esposito, the one that coached a lot of different teams. And the last time we saw him, he was the inaugural coach for the Mississippi Seawolves. Nick Nieder, he played for the Jersey Rockhoppers. Dustin Henning, we've seen him in Danbury and Danville and Watertown. He got his start in the EPHL. Sadly, though, the league kind of fell into chaos. The 3 or 4 people that were the head of the league had a falling out. Next thing you know, it's August, and one of them said, yeah, the EPHL is done. It's done. But no announcement was ever really made. The league just kind of silently went away. So to fill the gap, in came the Northeast Professional Hockey League. And yeah, that sums up the league. Great vision, no practicality, no practical business sense on how to operate a league, and quickly things fell into disrepair. It was supposed to be a 6-team league. Originally, the teams were all going to be in New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire. Things didn't get off to a good start, so the Aviators, they would become the Aviators this year, were added. There was plans on possibly adding Danbury in a future year. But things didn't work out. 2 teams fell by the wayside before the puck even dropped, as the owner of both teams had a major health scare and was unable to compete. So there's 2 teams. Another team that was going to be in the Boston area pulled out. They said, "Well, we're gonna defer this year." Nah, we're gonna fold. So already things are in trouble. So New York is added. Another team goes by the wayside. So eventually we end up with 2 teams that said, "Yeah, we'll play. We'll start the season." So a 3rd team is very hastily added in the New Haven area. Didn't do well. So we had 3-team league. So originally it was going to be a 44-game schedule. Then it became 30. Then it got knocked down to 20. And the season also ended prematurely, as it was just a financial garbage dumpster fire. The Connecticut team folded, and so now you've got 2 teams left. Okay, Brooklyn and or the New York Aviators and the Rhode Island Storm. Well, they play a championship series, and New York wins 2-0. I couldn't find any attendance facts. I couldn't find any really real facts on this league. There's not much to go on because, this was just terrible. The day after the premature championship series, which was played in mid-January, 2 days later, the league just goes inactive. It goes dark. No announcement. It's just the website's gone. Rhode Island fades into oblivion, never plays another game in any league. And so Danbury's probably thinking, yeah, we escaped that mess. So we had 2 leagues, the same organization basically, but 2 leagues, and things didn't work out. But there was a silver lining. In March, the Aviators announced they're joining the new Federal Hockey League, FHL. And that's what happened. And so they became one of the 6 teams. Now, this was a boon for the new FHL, as they had teams almost exclusively in New York, 5 in New York State, and Danbury, the Danbury Whalers. Danbury was kind of the centerpiece of the league, but now they had a presence in a major metropolitan area in Brooklyn. So this was a great opportunity. Like I named this episode, the sky was the limit. And it really seemed like things were going to be great. Brooklyn was going to be a team that was going to play in the FHL for a long time. And they became puddle jumpers. So the Fed is formed. And they start off, it's the Aviators, it's the Akwesasne Warriors, Thousand Island Privateers, which later became the Watertown Wolves, the BC Barons playing in the Binghamton area. Binghamton was always the plan, and it didn't work out the first time. You had Danbury and Rome, the Rome Frenzy, who we did a video about last year. All right, so season begins on October 29th, and the Aviators get off to a rough start. As a matter of fact, they started the year off kind of a 500 team. 11, 12, and 2 was their record. All of a sudden, they go on a 21-game winning streak, which is the second longest in Fed history. Yep, second longest. It's amazing to think this. From December 31st until their second to last game on February 24th, yes, the season ended kind of early, they didn't lose a game. Final game of the year, February 25th, they lose to Danbury. So they finished the year 32, 13, and 2, which is first in the FPHL. The problem is they weren't drawing at the gate. I don't know if the NEPHL had soured fans on professional hockey in Brooklyn or what, whether maybe there was problems with marketing. I don't know, but the team only drew 439 fans per game. Danbury, in the meantime, had drawn 1,700 plus. So Danbury was the team in the Fed in these early stage of the league. They were the only ones drawing decently and filling most of the seats. All right, but the first year, they end up in first. They end up facing Danbury, winning a very tough, hard-fought series, 3-2. And then they faced the Akwesasne Warriors and got surprised. And it ended up losing 3-1. So no Commissioner's Cup for the initial New York Aviators. Coach was Rob Miller, who had played with the Aces and this Aviators team. But anyway, you had your leading scorer for the Aviators was Matt Puntereri, legendary name in Fed history. 67 points, 27 goals. That was tied for third in the league. You had 5 players with 20 goals scored. And the goaltender was Kevin Drews. He went 25, 8, and 1 in that first season. A 238 goals against and a 919 save percentage. So, the team was really good. Just couldn't close things out. But yeah, the attendance struggled. So, go into the second year. The team was rebranded as the Brooklyn Aviators to try and draw more local attention to the franchise. It was an 8-team league that year, at least initially. Vermont folds after just 10 games. But the strange thing, the Aviators just seemed to want to try and tinker and tinker and tinker. There were 11 trades during this year that Brooklyn made. The roster was constantly in flux. as such, there wasn't as much chemistry, and the team didn't do poorly, but they didn't do quite as well, finishing with a record of, I didn't write it down here, 26, 19, and 5. Now, that was good for fourth place in the, well, at the end of the year, the 7-team league. So they face Danbury in the first round, and this time Danbury just says, we're taking care of business. They ended up losing 2 games in overtime. It was a tough fought series, but Danbury ended up winning 2 games to 1. The final game in the hangar for the Aviators was on March 9th, 2012. They lose 5-4 in overtime, 14 minutes into the overtime session. 2 days later, they lose their final game as a franchise in overtime in Danbury. The picture you'll notice is, Danbury. There is Section 102 getting rowdy, even back then. Continuing legacy of the Trashers. So anyway, it was March 11th, 2012, and the Aviators were done. Jesse Felton led the team in scoring, 27 goals, 54 points, but they had 8 goalies over the course of the year. The one that stuck out was Jocelyn St. Pierre, who had played the previous year in Thousand Islands, went 13, 6, and 1, with a .915 save percentage, so it wasn't too bad. But the attendance didn't improve that much. It went up some, but not enough. That was 4th in the league in attendance numbers in the second-year league. So on July 25th, it was announced that the team was folding due to financial issues. The team's owner was looking for an alternate source of income. So the announcement is made, and suddenly, this was weird. If you went to go to the Brooklyn Aviators website, you were immediately directed to the Dayton Devils, new franchise that was going to be starting play in 2012 to 2013, owned by Barry Soskin. So there was no ownership correlation, but for some reason, the league decided it would be a good idea to redirect Brooklyn fans to Dayton. Kind of strange. And yes, I did say Dayton Devils. That was the initial name of the team. They were later changed to Dayton Demons due to some, trademark issues. So, right from the beginning, Barry Soskin was having some issues. With his second team in the Fed, of course, he started this season with the Danville Dashers. Okay, so there we go. That is it. 4 years, one and done, kind of, or 4 and done. A missed opportunity by the FPHL. If there was some way that they could have better supported the market, marketed better, having a team in Brooklyn, that could have been huge. That could have been a huge boost for the league. Instead, the FPHL, or the FHL at this time, continued to kind of struggle and plod along and go through its growing pains, and almost folded a couple seasons later, but came back from the brink, better, stronger, and now we have a 14-team league. So there you go. There's a little bit of history about Brooklyn / New York, the Aviators. Not much to tell. I wish there was more, but yeah, this was in the fledgling years of the FPHL, and there was a lot of turbulence back then, using an aviation pun there. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this informative. I know some of you are more focused on the FPHL of now rather than looking back, but there's a lot of interesting history. So I wanted to take a look back, and we'll take a look back at another team later on this summer. So watch out for that. All right, I'm Gary Ryan for the Fed League Flash. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Make sure to follow me on Facebook and on the Flash Audio Network as well. thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on Tuesday for news and notes. You won't want to miss it because we're talking about expansion for next season or the following season already.